I'm Rachel with Row Mobility. We've just finished a group ride out here at Rocky Mountain Arsenal Wildlife Refuge, and we're talking about accessibility stories, or inaccessibility stories, today with a couple of friends. Thanks for listening. Hey, Allison. Thanks for taking some time to talk to me about accessibility today. Has there ever been a time when you had plans where you either thought you had enough information about a place you were going to, or information wasn't available and that you weren't able to do the activity that you had planned on doing?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of instances that come into mind. I think, um, when you're with a group and you're the only person in a wheelchair, um, sometimes the situation and the circumstance can make you feel like a burden.
Yeah.
So you always want to have as much information as possible, but sometimes that just isn't always the case. So a group of colleagues of mine took a work trip to Boston, and we had about a week-long conference there. And it was a larger group, about 8 or 10 of us. And of course, at meal times we would share a meal together. And on several occasions, one specific occasion, we had planned to go to this great breakfast place on Yelp. There were raves on it. And then we get there and they're like 4 steps down.
Ugh.
And it was pretty early on in my disability, and I wasn't with a lot of people who had to problem solve with me, with accessibility issues. So I felt like a burden for making the whole group go to another restaurant. And then we went to another restaurant and all they had were high tops.
Oh,
So then we had
man.
to go to a third restaurant, and luckily that worked. But it just makes me feel like I'm the problem,
Yeah.
and it's not actually accessibility that's the problem. So it becomes, well, we can't go here because Allison can't access it.
Right.
But really, it's we can't go here because it's not accessible.
Because of the building.
Exactly.
What would it have meant to you? I mean, you had resolution in this scenario, but I would imagine then, like, knowing that that's a possibility, that's something that could happen, then maybe like brings like a bit of anxiety about the next time you're going out with a group. What would it mean for you to have accurate information ahead of time if you were trying to make an outing with a group of people?
I mean, it really just breaks some barriers down, and allows our group to make choices based on the needs of the individuals in the group. I'm so lucky that I have some friends who will call ahead and who will advocate because they know how exhausting that is, for me.
Everything, right?
Everything, right? And so to be able to go to one place and have information that talks about, accessible parking, that lets me know if I'm going to be able to access a bathroom stall, during the meal, or whether, I can maneuver around, in a place of business. I mean, that information is so crucial for me to have. And it's nice to be able to open up an app and have that information rather than having to make a phone call, getting information that may or may not be accurate, because people just don't have a lot of experience.
Yeah. And that's exactly why we're creating Roll, right? So that we know that we've got user verified, reliable information that's ready in real time, that whether you have a disability or somebody in your life has a mobility issue, you can have that information and feel secure about it. Maybe have less anxiety, save your energy for something else.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And be out in the world more.
Exactly.
If we knew that places were accessible, we would go there.
Right.
Yeah.
If people would see more people with disabilities,
They might make their places accessible. Right.
But there's that like false idea that there aren't that many people to accommodate for because they
Right.
don't see the people that are out there having the need.
Oh,
And we're not coming because it's not accessible.
Yeah, there
Right.
have been countless times where I have like said no to going out with friends, or like I just couldn't get over the anxiety of like traveling downtown and not knowing exactly what I would find.
Or parking. Yeah.
The parking, just getting into a building, um, and so having information like that would just really provide for an inclusive world that we all can enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, you've said it perfectly. Well, thank you for taking time to talk with me today.
Of course. Thanks, Rachel.
Of course.